It's now time to call the State Bar Board of Directors Board meeting to order. With our agenda posting, we invited members of the public to view a broadcast of the Board of Directors meeting, which is live at www.youtube.com/State Bar of Texas. We also provided instructions on how to sign up to speak to today's meeting. Sign-ups are available until 5 p.m. Central Standard Time yesterday. Members of the public will speak under agenda item number 5. And those members of the public joining remotely will remain in the Zoom waiting room until it is their turn to speak. Please note that the meeting will be recorded, and the recording will be made available to the public. The State Bar's Executive Director, Trey Apfel, will now call roll.
Director Addy, Director Benish, Judge Brown, Director Browning is on his way, Judge Bullard, Director Cantu, Director Cavazos, Director Charbonnet, Director Cherry, Director Chiscano, Director Cochran, Director Courageous, Director Culpepper, Director Gomez, Director Grodidier, Director Harris, Director Harrison, Director Hicks, Director Hill, Director Huddleston, Director Castle has an excused absence. Excuse me. Director Cagg has an excused absence. Director Kugler, Senior Justice Lehrman, Director Linehan, Director Locke, Director Martinez, Director Masri, Judge McClure, Director Mateer, Judge Miller, Director Morales, Director Tony Wynn has an excused absence. Director Nicholson, Director Perez, Director Pineda has an excused absence. Director Popov has an excused absence. Director Pratt, Director Quadros, Director Rod, Director Sloan, Director Spaniel, Director Stafford, Director Stelly, Director Tabuada, Director Thiagi Rajan, Director Tisdale, Director Tobin, Director Vargas. Let me see that. Director Vasquez, Director Venzor, Director Voss, Director Weinstein has an excused absence. Director Wooten, Director Work, Director Rampelmeyer, Director Wynn, Justice Young. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Trey. We'll now call Director Jeff Cochran to deliver the invocation. Director Cochran.
Good morning. As we begin this meeting, let us reflect on our shared commitment to the principles that guide us. Let us remember our dedication to fairness and integrity. Let us appreciate open dialogue and diverse perspectives. May we engage in meaningful discussion and collaboration for the betterment of our profession and the communities that we serve. And may we draw strength from the knowledge that our collective efforts can make a positive difference. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Director Cochran. We'll now call Director Tobin to lead the board in the pledge of both the U.S. and the Texas flags. Director Tobin.
Shall we pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the flag.
Thank you, Director Tobin. At this time, we would like to welcome any members of the public who have signed up to speak. Any member of the public joining us in person who wishes to speak should sign a blue card or blue sign-in card and return it to the staff. If there is a specific topic of discussion or agenda item which you would like to speak on, please list that on the card. If any member of the public has signed up to speak remotely, you will remain in the Zoom waiting room until it is your turn to speak, and I will address you to indicate when you may begin. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak, and will notify you when the time has been completed. Are there any members of the public which wish to speak, either in person or via Zoom? Hearing none, I believe we have now heard from every member of the public who signed up to speak, and the public comment period is now closed. No member of the public has signed up to speak, and the public comment period is now closed. During the remainder of the meeting, if there is a board member or staff member who wishes to speak, please identify yourself, approach the microphone, and I'll let you know when it is your turn to speak. We'll now entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda which was in your board packet. Director Charbonnet has moved. Yes, Director Gonzalez, Director Perez has seconded. It's been properly moved and seconded that the consent agenda be adopted. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Steve and Trey are going to recount the bar's accomplishments during this year. And we're going to get to some very special presentations to our outstanding third-year directors in just a moment. But at this time, they told me that I had a few minutes to thank you or to provide comments. And I said, are you sure you want to do that? And I know that the egg timer is on me, so I won't belabor the point. I will say that it's been an honor to be your chair of this board only 1 year ago. So everything moves very fast when you're a director, especially a second-year director, and you have to declare an intent to be or to try to be the chair of this august body. And then the election happens that spring, and then you're chair-elect for 2 months, and then you're chair. So it happens really quickly. I will say that I've tried to respect this office, and I think that the basis of what we do, and I said that when I applied or declared my intent, and I said it when I was fortunate enough to be elected and give my remarks, I think the basis of what we do is respect. Goodwill is the monarch of this house. I think that's been under attack the past few years, actually, but not in this body. And for that, I am really grateful. And I think about what to say, and when I have trouble thinking about what to say, I usually close my eyes and just say what my heart tells me to say. And my heart said that I took an oath. And I meant that. I meant the oath when I took it. And I don't intend to contravene that oath. If that means upholding the rule of law or upholding the respect in this body for each and every one of you and the constituents that you represent, that's what I took an oath to do. And guess what? You did too. You took an oath and you promised that you would uphold the Constitution of the United States and of Texas. And you would also demean yourself, whatever that means to you. I think it means the humility to serve. So you're currently demeaning yourself, and we thank you for that. So I think we have a very strong bar. I think we have a very strong bar board. And I think there are some difficult days ahead. and we have to remain united in what we believe. We have to remain united in our respect, and we have to be true to our oath. Thank you for allowing me to be true to my oath. I appreciate it, and I'm going to applaud each and every one of you for that. Does the recipient of the Outstanding Third Year Director know that they're the recipient yet? No. Now it's my pleasure to present the Outstanding Third Year Director Award. We appreciate the fine work done by all of our third-year directors. But today, I want to recognize one person in particular. This director is someone who brings people together. And this director probably knows that I'm talking about this director because I haven't made eye contact with this director. And this director likes to have fun, but is also quick to volunteer for hard work, for work that is done without credit, for the important work of the bar. And you can trust this director to get the job done, and not only that, but to get the job done correctly. This director is guided by the belief that change is growth, that we can always do better, and that we should be open to new ideas and to people with different perspectives, all traits of being a great leader and all traits of being a great servant leader. During the past 3 years, this director has served the board as a member of the Executive Committee, the Nominations and Elections Subcommittee, the Policy Manual Subcommittee, the Performance Measures and Strategic Planning Subcommittee, and the Texas Bar Journal Board of Editors. Also, over the years, this at-large director has provided steady leadership as chair of the Administration Committee, the new Directors Orientation Subcommittee, and the Ad Hoc Committee to select at-large directors. As a point of personal privilege, I will say I consider this director to be a personal friend, and I don't use that term lightly. And I have witnessed this director's diligence and commitment to not only this bar board, but to this bar, and it is inspiring. We need directors like this. This is a model to all of us. And for Liz Cantu, we honor you for the substantial contributions to the State Bar of Texas as the recipient of the Outstanding Third Year Director Award.
I'm shaking. Y'all are the most amazing group of people that I have met in a really, really long time. The 3 years on this board has changed my life. I would like to think I'm a better person. I would like to think I'm a better lawyer and a better advocate. I believe in the State Bar in a way that I didn't for a long time. And I wish that I could impart on everybody what it means to truly serve and what everyone in this room does. I'm so honored and so moved, and please know that I will move forward every single day working hard to make sure that I leave that day better than the day before. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful and so honored. Thank you.
I'm sure you've read your policy manual. And board policy dictates that from time to time, the chair may select special awards to public members of the board for outstanding service. This director brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the board. This director consistently contributes to the discussions, asks great questions, and helps ensure the State Bar is meeting its mission. This director is known to quote the State Bar mission statement verbatim, especially the part about enabling our members to better serve their clients and the public, which goes to show how seriously he takes his job of being a public member of the board. Since joining the board in 2021, this director has served as a director of multiple committees, as a member of multiple committees, including the Discipline Client Attorney Assistant Program Subcommittee, the Legislative Policy Subcommittee, and the Policy Manual Subcommittee. This director once said that the greatest contribution he could make was to bring the perspective of a seasoned law enforcement officer to the board, and he has certainly succeeded in doing that. Again, as a point of personal privilege, I will say that I appreciate directors that offer their opinion and represent their constituents and their constituency and try to make this a better bar board and try to make this a better bar. And in that regard, Jason Charbonnet, we honor you as a recipient of the Public Member Award, for your substantial contributions to the State Bar of Texas. Thank you for your service.
Ooh. You spelled my name correctly. Thanks, Jen. Wow. I'm not even able to look up at y'all. So this means a lot to me. You know, this was, I don't look for affirmation in this. I just try to serve the public. I've been a public servant my entire career. So I will say that I've been through multiple chairs of the board since I've been here. And between you and Kenan, I mean, y'all light this place up. I'm serious. Paul has always been somebody that will pick up the phone anytime I've called. We have literally cussed and discussed on the phone things that we believe the direction of this bar should be going. The public members of it are extremely important. That way, you don't lose track and sight. And I'm very honored to be a part of it. And I appreciate everything that y'all do and everything that y'all have done for me. I really appreciate y'all being here, and thank you so much for this.
I saved the last bit of my personal remarks till the end before I introduced Trey because I didn't want to get emotional early. But this can't be done without Trey and Jen and Tammy and the staff. And please don't think that, quote, the staff is just a generic catch-all and that I don't honor and respect each and every one of you and what you do by name. But this job doesn't pay right, and it's volunteer. And for us, we do it because we feel a sense to do it. And they do too. The staff not only is part of their job, but they feel a sense to do it in the right way and to do it at a level that exceeds the expectations which we might have. And that makes us an exemplar to other bars. And if you don't believe that, just go to a bar convention and see how Trey and his staff are seen as somewhat of rock stars, deservedly so. So thank you to Trey and Trey et al. Trey et al. And thanks also to my friends and family, my wife Nikki, my kids, for letting the bar borrow me for a year. And thanks to all of you. And at that point, I will offer up Trey Apfel, Executive Director, for his general report. Thanks, Trey.
Thank you, Chair Stafford. Congratulations, Director Cantu, Director Charbonnet. Job well done. All right, now I get the opportunity to give you an end-of-the-year update on some of our significant accomplishments, some of your significant accomplishments. First of all, our fiscal year ended on May 31, so I want to start with a brief report on the bar's achievement on that front, and that includes our budget and our audit process. We put together another fiscally sound operating budget for fiscal year 25-26. The court recently approved that budget. We had great discussion and collaboration with Senior Justice Learman and Justice Young. They gave us great feedback and they gave us great support. We presented the entire budget to the Supreme Court. President-elect Vargas and I and our Chief Financial Officer, Tracy Jarrett, and we had our senior management team and department heads present as well. We also had internal audits of our HR, IT, and Public Funds Investment Act. We received favorable reports and findings on all fronts. Our annual financial report received an unmodified audit opinion, which is the best you can get. So we're proud of those accomplishments. On the nominations and elections front, we went all electronic this past year. Voting numbers, totals were down. So we're going to continue to monitor that to see if, what is the reason behind that. But I believe that as we get farther along in the electronic voting shelf life, we'll see those numbers start to inch back up. We continue to provide support on the Access to Justice front, especially with regard to our Access to Justice Commission. I'm looking to see if our commission chair, Harriet Myers, is here. I don't see her in the audience. We provided logistic support for LSC Days, which is Legal Services Corporation Days. That is the federal funding mechanism that funds the legal aid offices throughout the country. Both myself, Chris Ritter, Santos Vargas, Harriet Myers, April Faith Slaker, and Sarah Mae Jennings from our Legal Access Department provided support and assistance in Washington, D.C. The State Bar continues to underwrite the Access to Justice Gala every year and did so again this past year to the tune of $50,000. We've been doing that for almost 15 years now, if my numbers are right. And this year's gala was a tremendous success, raised twice as much money as what it has in the past. It usually raises about $500,000. This past year raised over $1 million. We made some modifications to our dues statement checkoff. so that we could gain easier navigation for the voluntary contributions for access to justice. President Benish will update you on our website enhancement and on our AI or artificial intelligence projects, but I can tell you that we've been working hard over the last several months to put these into effect, and they're coming along, making great progress. We also have partnered with the Austin Bar Association on a docket assistance program, again, which President Benish will talk about in a moment. 1415 Lavaca, our education and conference center in the historic building just to the west of the Law Center. We continue to move forward with our planning and design work on that project. We are working with our owner's rep, Square One. They are helping us on a value engineering effort with the architect, Lawrence Group, and our construction manager at risk, Rogers O'Brien. We continue our work toward taking full advantage of our Capitol view from that location. And good news on the fundraising front, we had our 501c3 status approved. So good work on that front. Chief Disciplinary Council support, we relocated our Dallas office this past year. We are on the cusp of reaching a finalization of negotiations relative to our Houston office relocation. You'll hear a full report from our facilities and equipment subcommittee. It is actually an action item on the agenda. We've hired new regional councils in Dallas and Houston. In Dallas, it's Kristen Brady, and in Houston, it's Khadijah Roberts. So thank you to our Chief Disciplinary Counsel's office, Shauna Willing and her team, and the Chair of the Commission for Lawyer Discipline, Monica Gonzalez. Thank you all very much for your efforts on that front. I've also had the opportunity to visit each regional office, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston this past year to say thank you and recognize those folks in those regional offices. I don't get to see them in person when we have staff meetings. I have to look at them over a camera. And I want to take it that step further and actually go there, shake their hands, and get to see them in person. So I appreciate that opportunity. We have some new CLE programs that have taken place over the last year. The first is Becoming an Appellate Lawyer. It's an interactive course with hands-on opportunities to develop appellate skills. That was presented in March. We have what we call online bundles. These are CLEs geared toward online learners, a group that's grown significantly since the pandemic. These are attorneys looking for flexible, high-quality content they can trust, and we've worked hard to meet that need. What they include: CLEs 15s. These are designed to give attorneys everything they need for the year in one place. 15 hours of CLE credit, including the required 3 hours of ethics, tailored to a specific practice area. We take great care to curate content from across our courses to ensure each bundle is as relevant and up to date as possible. We have 3-hour ethics bundles. These were created with flexibility in mind for attorneys who may be meeting most of their CLE requirements but still need their ethics hours. By offering targeted bundles in areas like wellness, technology, litigation, and grievance, we help attorneys meet their ethics requirements in the context that's most relevant to their practice. Then we have the best of bundles. These are a bit more flexible in format. They showcase what we truly believe are the most impactful or well-received presentations from the year in a given practice area. So congratulations to our CLE department under the leadership of Hetty Bauer. Thank you, Hetty. Now an update on our Client Security Fund. We're celebrating a 50-year anniversary this year. 50 years ago, 1975, State Bar of Texas developed the Client Security Fund, and it was established to protect the integrity of the legal profession by providing grants to clients who have been harmed by their lawyers' dishonest conduct. Money for the fund comes from the general fund of the State Bar, with a minimum of $300,000 appropriated each year. We have a healthy financial position relative to our fund, and the corpus is roughly at $5 million. The members of the State Bar who originally established the fund wanted to show the public that Texas lawyers stand behind the integrity of the bar. When one of our fellow bar members steals money from a client, that reflects poorly on each and every one of us. To my knowledge, there is no other profession who has such a mechanism to compensate those who have been harmed. This is an acknowledgement that our clients place a tremendous amount of trust on our profession, on us as leaders of the profession. And when that trust is betrayed, those clients suffer great harm. The Client Security Fund allows us to safeguard the good name of lawyers and to promote public confidence in the administration of justice. Since 1975, hundreds of Texas attorneys and members of the public have volunteered their time to serve as members of the Client Security Fund Committee. Those committee members have approved more than $25 million to clients who have had money stolen from them. Texas has one of the oldest client protection funds in the nation. It's yet another example of the high standards that we hold for our profession and that we should be proud of. Special thanks to Claire Reynolds, who's in the back of the room with our Chief Disciplinary Counsel's office. Claire, would you stand up? She's headed the program for about 12 years now. Job well done. Appreciate it. Director Morales will give a board meeting update on the Client Security Fund and their latest activity. Next, we are also celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the National Trial Competition. Also in 1975, what was then called the Junior Bar of Texas, not TYLA, the Junior Bar of Texas, partnered with the American College of Trial Lawyers to host the first national trial competition. The National Trial Competition was the idea and passion of David Beck, who at the time was in the Junior Bar's leadership and would go on to be president of the State Bar of Texas, as well as the American College of Trial Lawyers. He sought to have a national competition hosted in Texas that would offer law students across the country a chance to refine their skills and inspire them to enter the practice of law as trial attorneys. The program has been a tremendous success. This year we had over 300 teams from over 160 law schools participate. Regional competitions were held across the country in February. That number was whittled down to 30 teams. The 30 regional champions came to compete once again in the tournament's birthplace, Houston, during the first week of April. The champion was crowned following that competition, St. John's University School of Law. So congratulations to our efforts on that. Succession planning. Under the leadership of Chair Greg Sampson, a former State Bar board member, the Law Practice Management Committee of the State Bar of Texas has been working to address the issues that arise from an aging lawyer population by developing a comprehensive approach to transition planning, including the creation of a detailed succession planning toolkit designed for use by attorneys and lay people, the development of an advanced designation of a custodian portal, and the implementation of 2 new rules of professional responsibility. In addition to resources for solving sudden cessation calamities, that's a mouthful, the committee also sought to provide a user-friendly resource with checklists, forms, and how-to articles for identifying, implementing a plan that fits the needs of a lawyer, the lawyer's family, and the lawyer's clients. Committee members created a succession planning outreach plan to reach as many lawyers as possible, especially in rural areas, by partnering with local bar associations, state bar sections, and other attorney groups for CLE programs. While several states have provided information to lawyers on succession planning and others have implemented rule changes, the Law Practice Management Committee's innovative approach has combined succession planning information and rule creation with an online means to quickly and easily designate a custodian who could wind down an attorney's practice if the need arose through the State Bar's advanced designation of custodian portal. As past President Laura Gibson said, upon implementation, there's not an easier process anywhere in the country to designate a custodian. Spoiler alert, others outside of Texas have taken notice. Today, I'm pleased to announce that the State Bar of Texas Law Practice Management Committee has been selected to receive the ABA Solo, Small Firm, and General Practice Division's 2025 Solo and Small Firm Project Award for its work on succession planning, sudden cessation custodianships, and the Succession Planning Toolkit. Congratulations to them. This is a major achievement for our committee, and I want to acknowledge Chair Greg Sampson and all the members of the committee, along with past President Laura Gibson, who helped start this initiative during her term. I also want to acknowledge our staff members, Sharon Sandel, Trish McAllister, Dean Schaefer, and Kevin Henderson for their hard work. Good job. Thank y'all. Okay. Section and committee reports. This is just a small sampling of the bar's activities. For more information on the accomplishments of the State Bar of Texas in 2024-2025, please read the section and committee reports that were included in your meeting materials. These reports will be published in the July-August issue of the Texas Bar Journal. So thank you to the volunteers who make up our sections and committees for the countless hours of work represented in these reports and for their dedication to the legal profession. We're excited to host the annual meeting, the 2025 annual meeting here in San Antonio this week. For any of our members watching who haven't registered, you can still come to San Antonio and register on site for the activities on Thursday and Friday. You can go to texasbar.com/annual meeting for details. Next up is our Staff Excellence Award. This quarter, the award goes to a couple of folks in the room who do not know that they're receiving it, and they are from our archives staff. Trina Purcell, our director Trina Purcell, and records management specialist Keely Drummond. In the spring of 2024, Trina and Keely took on the enormous task of guiding the State Bar through the recertification of its record retention schedule. This is a required task done in concert with the Texas State Library and Archives Commission to ensure that the records of the State Bar are managed in compliance with state standards. The effort involved multiple individual group meetings with staff record managers, division and department directors, and the executive team, along with careful review of changes in state requirements. And this was on top of Trina's and Keely's regular work and a long-term archives digitization project. Their efforts culminated in the submission last fall of the State Bar's amended records retention schedule to the state archives, where final approval is pending. This work is entirely behind the scenes and actually in the basement. Their office is on P1 of the Law Center. Trina and Keely don't do it for glory, but it's very important to the State Bar, it's very important to our profession, and that makes it especially gratifying to honor them today. Would y'all stand up in the back? Trina, Keely, thank y'all. Last up on the report, I want to recognize our State Bar staff, and y'all know who they are, because they, in order to put this meeting on, along with everything that goes with annual meeting, the effort is gargantuan. It really is. I have learned to stay out of the way so that I don't get injured, because there's a lot of moving parts and pieces to this effort. There's board meetings, the new director orientation, the board dinner tonight, the spouse orientation, the luncheons and the speakers, the awards, the president's party, the planning, the coordination, the logistics that go into it are simply phenomenal. And I want to thank all of those behind the scenes that do that and that take our meeting, our board meetings, our other events, they take it to another level. Because I have seen other states do the things that they do, and head and shoulders above right here in Texas. So thank you all to our State Bar staff. Appreciate it. Mr. Chair, that completes my report.
Thank you, Trey. I now bring before you President Benish. He has served honorably. We appreciate him. We appreciate his office. And we appreciate all that he has done for us. President Benish, the floor is yours.
How time flies, doesn't it? Is it afternoon yet? Good afternoon. Yes, it is. Good afternoon to everyone. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My remarks will be brief. This is the first of 6 opportunities for me to speak over the next few days. Dinner tonight, lunch and dinner tomorrow, breakfast and lunch on Friday. And so this will be a Reader's Digest version of just a couple of issues, really, that I've selected. But before that, the highest privilege and honor that a State Bar president has the authority to bestow is a presidential citation. And it's not an automatic, it's not an every year, it's not an every person. This has been an extraordinary board that has been my privilege to work shoulder to shoulder with all of you. But there are 3 who, in my mind, 3 directors who, among the exceptional work of all of the directors of this board, who have rendered truly meritorious, exceptional service. And for the president's citation, it's not just to the board, it's not just to the State Bar, but it's to the legal profession in this state and to the citizens throughout the state of Texas. Three who I believe who have rendered exceptional service that it is my pleasure at this time to award a presidential citation to each of them. The first of our honorees, we, I think, recognize this director for their talents and their enthusiasm. This director has put their skills to good use this year as chair of both the Administration Committee and the Ad Hoc Committee to select at-large directors, and as a member of the Nominations and Elections Committee. For this director's extraordinary contributions to the bar, to our profession, and to the state of Texas, it is my pleasure to award the State Bar of Texas President's citation to Liz Cantu. As you know, I'm an emotional guy, and I thought I got a good night's sleep. I'm going to steel myself for keeping my composure, and then Paul gets up and cuts every cable in my steel with his heartfelt comments that were a dagger to me. And thank you for your service as well, Paul. You've done a wonderful job as chair. Now, I have other opportunities to talk about that, so I'll stay on script. The second director who I would like to present a presidential citation to has rendered exceptional service this year, and these are just a subset of the service and leadership that each of these three directors have rendered. This is just a thumbnail. This director has served as chair of the Audit and Finance Committee and brought a wealth of knowledge and a collaborative spirit to that role and every role that this director has filled in service to this state and to this bar. And for those diligent efforts over his term on this State Bar Board, it is my pleasure to award the State Bar of Texas Presidential Citation to Forrest Huddleston. Okay, 2 out of 3. I'm holding it together so far. This last director has, and even though I guess the award qualifications are service over the last year, this director has served the last 3 years with grace and professionalism and boundless energy. And over the last 2 years has been invaluable to me in mentorship and friendship. And so it is with great pleasure that I award for her dedicated service, for her friendship, and for her commitment to my dear friend, our beloved director, the immediate past president, Cindy Tisdale. All right, on to the general report and something that I find a little less emotional, website redesign. I did want to mention it's been less than 2 months since our last board meeting, and therefore I didn't want to do the slideshow of the directors. I happened to run into the 15 or 20 events that I attended over the last month and a half. It has been a busy, and I won't list them for you other than travels on behalf of the bar have taken me to Austin several times, Laredo, San Antonio, Irving, to Houston several times, to Dallas a couple times, to Lubbock, and then attendance on behalf of the bar at the Fifth Circuit Judicial Conference, which was hosted this year by the Mississippi Bar Association. It's been my pleasure to represent the bar, to fly the State Bar's flag in attending these events, and I saw a large number of directors, folks who are sitting in the room right now at those events, and I thank you for your service. So this is the first of a few opportunities to speak, so I just chose 2 initiatives that I identified when I was running for State Bar President that I think have made wonderful progress, and I wanted to report to them. The first was on website redesign. As you know, that was one of the goals is to help that I set out is to help the State Bar make its website more user-friendly. If you've tried to find anything or navigate anything on the former or the current State Bar website, it can sometimes be difficult to find what you're looking for. I'm pleased to report that we've made great progress with that website redesign. We're working with a vendor to make sure that the site is as user-friendly as possible and to give the site a fresh look and feel and to organize content so that it's logical and it's easy to find and it's accessible to everyone who wants to use it, be they lawyers or non-lawyers. But we'll continue on that website until next bar year. I guess next bar year is beginning Saturday. And I will, but I did want you to have a quick sneak peek at some of the progress that we have made and to show you today, and I believe we have a couple of slides relating to that. As you can see from this working design, the redesigned TexasBar.com homepage will look brighter and more modern. The information will be organized with priority given to the most popular functions of the bar, which are right now the My Bar page and Find a Lawyer. There will continue to be dedicated sections for both the public and for lawyers. We're adding a frequently asked questions page that will answer common questions that we receive from members and from members of the public as well as practicing attorneys. The home page is going to include an announcement section that will highlight the bar's latest programs and activities, along with an upcoming events section that will be a section linking to meetings and upcoming CLE events. Finally, at the bottom of the homepage will be a quick links to popular sites, including Texas Bar CLE, the Texas Bar books, along with links to the State Bar's social media platforms, and pages. I look forward to sharing more about the website redesign as the work continues in the coming months. The second and last thing I want to report to, because it's the first time I can tell you we've arrived, we did it, and that is with regard to a online AI toolkit. As you may recall, one of the things I wanted to do when I was running for president of the State Bar is to continue the initiative begun by immediate past President Tisdale when she established the Task Force for Responsible AI in the Law, and that is to wrap our arms around the use of emerging technologies and have the bar provide a useful service to our members in connection with the use of such technologies in the practice of law. And I'm pleased to report that the bar's AI toolkit is now online and functional. Key features of this toolkit include ethical considerations for the use of AI in legal contexts, guidance on evaluating AI tools and vendors, tips for ensuring data privacy and compliance with regulatory standards, practical examples of AI applications in the legal workflow, and sample forms for client disclosures and checklists for evaluating AI tools. It's important to note that the AI toolkit is dynamic in nature. It is not a static resource. Although the Task Force for Responsible AI in the Law, or TRAIL, has completed its work, the Law Practice Resources Division of the Bar will work with the newly formed, you remember voting on it, Emerging Technology Committee to update the toolkit with new developments and additional resources to help attorneys navigate the use of AI safely and ethically. Importantly, this toolkit is the first of its kind in the country. No other state bar has created a similar resource. My counterparts, both in the Southern Conference of Bar Presidents and the Western States Bar Conference, the presidents of those state bar associations have been tapping me on the shoulder for months, saying, when you get this up, help us out. We want to do something like it. We want to follow your lead. It is one of the ways that the State Bar of Texas is leading the nation in embracing AI advancements while upholding the highest ethical standards of our profession. I encourage each of you, all of us, to explore the toolkit and look for ways to use it to navigate AI into your and to my practice. That toolkit is accessible since we're online. I want to give that email address, the URL, that's https://www.texasbarpractice.com/artificial/intelligence-toolkit/. Everybody get that down? Got it memorized? Okay, let's say it together. No, not going to do that. That's it. I did want to tell you, especially for our outgoing board, and especially on that outgoing board with regard to the third-year directors, what an honor it has been to serve shoulder to shoulder with you on this board, for me, over the last 2 years. It's been a great privilege. It has been, at least with regard to my role, the greatest privilege and blessing of my professional career to serve shoulder to shoulder with you. And I hope that you consider your service to the legal profession and the citizens of Texas as you sit here as a member of this board, laboring shoulder to shoulder with each other, as the greatest blessing and privilege of your legal careers as well. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your partnership in this good work that we do for others. Thank you.
Any comments or questions from the directors for President Benish? Constructive comments, questions.
Save the destructive comments for later.
Yeah, for sure. Hearing none. President-elect Santos Vargas, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to take a couple of minutes to let everyone in this room know how much of a pleasure it's been serving as your president-elect over the course of the last year. Having had the opportunity to work with so many of you on committees and in meetings and to get to know all of you and socialize with you, all for the purpose of bettering the practice of law for Texas lawyers, has been one of the highlights of my bar career, and I can't thank you enough for sharing that experience with me. Cindy, Steve, I can't even begin to tell you how much the mentorship that I've received from both of you over the course of the last couple of years means to me. Thank you very much. I've learned so much from the both of you. I'm always going to cherish our friendship, to cherish the memories of the great times that we've spent together. And if it weren't for the both of you, I wouldn't be nearly as ready to tackle what this coming year holds in store. But because of you, because of Trey, because of all our incredible staff, I'm ready. I'm ready for this year. I'm ready for anything that comes our way, and I'm ready to deliver on an amazing bar year for each and every one of you. I'm also ready to deliver on one of my signature initiatives, which is raising funds and raising volunteers for access to justice, for access to legal services for the most underserved, for the most underprivileged, for the most vulnerable members of the state of Texas. And this year, I've pledged to raise $300,000 during my bar year for access to justice. And I want everybody in this room to help me reach that goal. And I'm about to tell you exactly how you can do exactly that. Here's the things that you can do to help me fulfill that goal and have a very successful initiative. Introduce me to the local bars in your respective districts. Help me coordinate speaking engagements with the local bar associations in your district. Spread the word about my fundraising efforts. Inform your colleagues, get them involved, and repost all of my efforts on social media. Help me make this a successful initiative for the State Bar of Texas. Every single one of us, everybody in this room, is blessed with an incredible career. But I just want you to take 1 minute to think about how many of us could afford to hire ourselves in a protracted legal fight. How many of us could do that? Whether it's $300 an hour or whether it's $1,500 an hour, how many of us could afford to sustain that in protracted litigation? Probably very few of us. And so we owe it to the most vulnerable members of our state to do everything we can to help bridge the justice gap. And so I'm enlisting you to be part of this effort and to help me fulfill the goal of raising $300,000 for access to justice this year. Thank you all very much. Also have a couple of just kind of quick reminders for everyone. A couple of quick previews on what to expect during my presidential year. One of the things that I just want, and I can't stress this enough, new directors, you heard a little bit about this earlier today during new directors orientation. Current directors, you've also heard about this. I can't tell you how incredibly important it is for everybody to use, to be logged into, and to know their board effect credentials. Everything that we do runs through, goes through, gets scheduled through board effect. And so please make sure that you're logged into board effect, that you're checking board effect, that you're looking through the materials that the State Bar staff works really, really hard to put together and organize for you in board effect, because that's where everything's going to be. If you have a Zoom meeting coming up, guess what? It's in board effect. If you need to figure out where your meeting packet is, it's in board effect. And so Jennifer Reams, Tammy Knoll, all of the staff work really, really hard to put all of that together. And so we owe it to them to make sure that we make use of that in a very responsible way. One other thing that I really want to hit on, and I touched on this a little bit at the last board meeting, is showing up at meetings. Tomorrow morning, you're going to find out what your committee assignments are, right? And once you get those committee assignments, you're going to start getting notices of meetings that are going to come up. You're going to start getting polls as to whether or not you're available to show up at those meetings. If you're available and you click yes that you're going to be there, I'm asking you, in fact, I'm strongly encouraging you to show up at the time that you say you're going to be there. Because when you don't, let me tell you exactly what happens. You end up having multiple people on a Zoom call charging, or losing out on time that's worth a lot of money to a lot of people. And then you have somebody like Jennifer Reams, who already works so incredibly hard for all of us, having to chase people down by text message or making phone calls, trying to figure out where people are so we can have a quorum. We don't want that this year, okay? And so I'm asking all of you to really take this commitment seriously. I know you will. If you don't, you might get a call from our chair-elect, Brittany Harrison, or myself. But please, it's so important to make sure that we're all showing up on time, and so that we're not having to chase people down. One other kind of new thing that we're doing during my presidency this year is what I'm calling the Wall of Honor. And so what does that mean? That means that as state bar directors, your job, your role, your responsibility doesn't just include showing up at committee meetings and showing up for board meetings and having all the fun that we have at meetings like this. It means that you're also an ambassador, right? And you got elected. This especially goes for elected directors. You got elected from voters in your districts, right? And so part of your job is outreach to all the local bar associations in your district. And lucky for all of us, we have resources for you to be able to go out and give presentations, to give updates, to give presentations like 30 benefits in 30 minutes, which people love to hear, by the way. And so what we're doing this year, what I'm asking is that we have you go out and at least present one time during this bar year. And if you do, you'll end up at the next quarterly board meeting on the Wall of Honor. And I think we have this is what the Wall of Honor would look like if all of our elected district directors would reach out to a bar association in their district, schedule a meeting, and provide a presentation. And so by the end of this year, so this time next year, I want every single one of our elected district directors to be on that Wall of Honors. If you're a section rep, if you're a liaison, we want you there too. But I'm really kind of looking at all of our elected district directors who people voted for. We're expecting you to go out and give a presentation and be an ambassador for the State Bar of Texas. So that's one of the new initiatives that we're going to have this year. Looking forward to seeing all of your names on that Wall of Honor. And so that's it for updates. I do have a little bit of information on the Budget Committee. Trey talked about this a little bit in his report. But this year, the State Bar presented the fiscal year 25-26 proposed budget to the Texas Supreme Court on April 30th, marking the final step in the budget process that began in August of last year. And we had a meeting. All 9 of our Supreme Court justices were in attendance, and we received several questions from the court regarding the State Bar's budget. And we went to work answering those questions for the court, and I'm pleased to report that on May 30th, we received the order from the court officially adopting the budget for the fiscal year 25-26, with the exception of the proposed funding for new full-time equivalent employees. Those positions have been removed from the budget, and a copy of the adopted budget is included in your material. So here's what's very remarkable about this year's budget and budget committee. This is the first time this year, the first time in 4 years, that we've had every single member of the Texas Supreme Court sign off on the State Bar's budget. And so that's due to the very hard work of Trey, our staff, our budget committee. We worked really, really hard over the course of the last several months to get a successful budget presented to and passed by the Supreme Court, and I'm very, very proud of those efforts. And with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
I was concerned that you were going to implement a wall of dishonor. And I'm glad that you decided to reverse course at the last minute on that and decided to call it a wall of honor. That's very honorable. Are there any questions or comments from our directors for President-elect Vargas? Constructive. And now, immediate past President, the beloved Cindy Tisdale, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't know if I can implement the rule of I have to be called beloved at any other meeting I go to. I would really love to carry that forward. Don't think it's going to happen. Thank you all. This is my last time I'm going to be addressing this board as the immediate past president. Can't believe it, it's been a fast 3 years. But a quick update, and you know what I'm going to talk about, right? I want to give you an update on the BetterHelp.com. As you know, the State Bar continues to offer access to the mental health therapy for our members through BetterHelp.com. This is to help maintain their fitness, of course, to be able to practice law. The benefit offers 1 free month of therapy to any member and 15% off every month thereafter. Our latest statistics show that 480 members have used this program. More than 2,200 live sessions have occurred, and the overall satisfaction rate is 93%. I would love to have a 93% satisfaction rate. So I'm very pleased with that. You can get the discount code and sign up for the therapy at texasbar.com/BetterHelp. Point of privilege, Mr. Chair, very briefly. I want to thank, again, Steve and Santos. Talk about a dream team. I could not have asked for anything better to spend my last year with both of them, my last 2 years with Steve. Also want to thank you as a board. What amazing work you have done in these 3 years I've been here, and I want to thank you for your hard work and your conscientious work for our members and the State Bar staff. I am not going to lose it. The best. That's all I'm going to say. The best State Bar staff, the best friends, the best people you could find on earth. They've made this all worthwhile. Now, I'm going to end this as the great philosopher, Ted Lasso, you know I'm going there, once said, every choice is a chance. Every choice is the chance to do the right thing. I just hope the choices I've made in the last 3 years have made our bar better, have made our bar stronger. And I want to thank you all for the opportunity and the privilege to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, past President Tisdale. Any comments or questions from our directors? Immediate past Chair of the Board, Kenan Lilly Wooten, will now provide us with the nominations and elections report.
Hello, everyone. Well, as you know, we have a new president-elect. 2025 State Bar election is over, and G. David Smith will be our president in 2026-2027 bar year. I just want to take a minute to say that watching him and Deborah Cordova on the campaign trail was so inspiring. And in a moment where there's so much divisiveness, where people chalk each other up based on one attribute, you saw these two people who were technically opponents, but they were truly running alongside each other. They came to my office together. And so many people there commented on how wonderful that was to see people running that way. We can all do that. We can all do that. And they showed us how it's done, and I'm really grateful to them for that. And I want to give them a round of applause, because that's not easy to do, and it's appreciated. So we had a turnout this year of 14.3 of the return rate. That is 16,646 attorneys who voted in the election. We can do better. I think one of the things we can all do in future years is encourage people to educate themselves and to exercise their right to vote. We do have 10 new district directors that were elected to be on the State Bar 2025-2026 board. The final district chart is in your material book on board effect in the nominations and elections section. Very excited to have this new group of people as board members. I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with Cindy and everyone else on the nominations and elections subcommittee. Thank you to everyone who contributed. And as a point of privilege for me, if that's all right, Chair, I do want to say thank you to all of you for your service, your friendship. And I think it's not just what we observed in the most recent race, but also what we observe in this room every time we come together, what we observe when we're visiting before and after meetings. It's collegiality. It's working together toward something better. I think about Dr. Maya Angelou, who observed that every single one of us has capacity for good and bad, every single one of us. And she observed what a lot of people do when they feed the bad. But she also observed what we can do when we stretch ourselves for good. And that's what we've done. Thank you for helping me to stretch myself. Thank you for growing together. I'm going to miss you all. Thank you.
As a point of personal privilege, thank you, immediate past Chair Wooten, for your guidance throughout this year and throughout this process, and for your service to the board. Are there any questions or comments from the directors? Hearing none, now we'll hear from Director Forrest Huddleston as Chair of the Audit and Finance Committee.
Thank you very much. I'm going to keep it short today, which means it's only going to run about 45 minutes. Just kidding, it's actually going to be short. Good. It's actually going to be short because Trey graciously went over a couple of the audit and finance related topics today, so thank you, Trey. Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to start by reviewing the actual growth in operating revenues and operating expenditures for the 11 months ended April. What that means is that we have a fiscal year end of May, and so when we're talking April, this is the first 11 months of the year, and so technically we're not quite at a year yet, but the trends represented here do represent what we're going to land at for the year. Once those 2024-2025 financials are completed by the finance team and a full year of activity is available, these figures will be used for the Budget Committee this fall to update the State Bar's projections and develop the budget for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. So what you guys can see here, no surprise here, everybody should be pretty familiar with this given our last couple of updates, but revenues are actually not increasing at the same rate that expenditures are, but clearly the staff is doing everything we can to take care of that, particularly the 10% increase in dues is going into effect this upcoming year, and so that, in addition to a number of other things, just trying to maintain costs or manage costs, the staff is very well on top of the expenditure growth, and we're making extensive efforts to be sure that revenues are increasing at a faster rate than expenses are. So now what we'll see here is an actual comparison of revenues versus expenditures for the 11 months ending April 2025 versus 2024. So you do see a slight decrease in revenues, which was expected. Like I said, the 10% increase in fees is going to help us with that. And so, in simple terms here, we did see a decrease by about $12,000 compared to last year. Like I said, that was expected, and we're taking steps to help that for the future. Expenditures also did go up by about 1.9 million, and so what you're going to see here is that our net income went down this year compared to last year by about 2 million. No red flags there, but if there's any questions, happy to answer them. Okay, so the upcoming audits that we're going to be having are the audit of the State Bar's annual financial report for fiscal year 2025. That's going to be conducted by the audit firm Weaver. So just a really quick reground for everybody. An external audit is where we have an audit firm, which is Weaver, come in and look at the actual financials that we're reporting to make sure that the numbers on our financial statements are correct. And then we have also internal audits, and the internal audits scheduled for this year are going to be for Public Funds Investment Acts compliance, Texas Bar books, law practice management, and legal access. And what that means is that we have a separate firm come in and we have them take a look at our processes and procedures to be sure that they're gold standard and to be sure that those are lending towards reporting correct numbers in our financial statements, just to kind of keep it simple. And that concludes my report for this board meeting, unless there's any questions. All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Forrest. Hey, any questions for Forrest Huddleston? Hearing none. Now we'll hear from Director Cantu as Chair of the Administration Committee.
Thank you, Chair Stafford. So it has been an active and very rewarding year for the Administration Committee. Over the course of the year, the committee reviewed and advanced a number of proposed rule amendments from the Court Rules Committee. These included the amendments to the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure 500.2P and 500.2 AC concerning judgments and sanctions in justice court. Also Rule 306A regarding notice of judgments, and a group of coordinated amendments to Rules 224 through 234 to reflect changes in jury size requirements for statutory county court trials involving amounts in controversy exceeding $250,000. We also supported a thoughtful amendment to the Texas Rule of Appellate Procedure 9.9E, which repositions responsibility for redacting sensitive data on the parties and enables appellate courts to maintain compliance with limited resources. The committee also worked diligently in the fall of 2024 to propose to the board some recommendations regarding the Supreme Court's proposed rules regarding licensure of paraprofessionals, comments which this board approved and that were passed on to the court for consideration. And after all of the important work that our committee handled this past year, I wanted to leave on a note of thanks. Chair, if I may have a point of personal privilege, I wanted to thank you. I had not had an opportunity. You were everything I knew you would be as chair, and we were so fortunate to have you. Thank you for everything that you've done and the grace that you've shown. And I also wanted to thank, the word staff is so hard because it just doesn't do justice to what Jen and Kaylin and everyone does to support our amazing executive director, Trey Apfel. And I have to say that we are so lucky as a board, and especially our third-year directors, to have served alongside Sylvia Berenda Firth, Laura Gibson, the beloved Cindy Tisdale, and these two extraordinary gentlemen who sit here, President Benish and now President-elect Vargas. It is really the opportunity of a lifetime to have not only met you, but to watch what it looks like to be a leader. I'm so excited for our President-elect, G. David Smith, who is also the embodiment of leadership and grace. And I cannot wait to see what our chair-elect does. Thank you all so very much for your friendship and your guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cantu. Any questions for Director Cantu from our directors? Now we'll hear from the Chair of the Facilities and Equipment Subcommittee, Director and Chair-elect of the Board, Brittany Harrison.
Good afternoon. The Facilities and Equipment Subcommittee met earlier this month, and we discussed the current 10-year lease that the Houston CDC office has. That lease will be ending on April 30th of 2026, and so they were looking at different options for moving out of the current building, which is in an inconvenient location. It's prone to flooding, and there's some security issues with the area. So we had the CBRE Incorporated research and tour several different locations with the State Bar and the CDC staff, and they ultimately narrowed it down to the Allen Parkway location because of the costs, the location, and it has excellent security. The lease itself is comparable to the current lease and offers some upfront savings in rents, but also requires some investment for a build-out beyond the construction allowance. And those investment costs are consistent with CDC office moves and are budgeted and they're expected. CBRE is also still negotiating some better terms, including 12 months of rents, a parking abatement, while the construction or the contractors are bidding for the office build-outs. And then last, the best offer from the landlord, as well as the final construction documents and constructors' bids, are all expected soon. So it's moving along very well, and therefore I would move that the Board of Directors approve the Houston CDC Regional Office Space lease and authorize the Executive Director to finalize terms of the lease.
I'm going to miss saying this. Coming from a committee, no second is needed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by aye. All opposed. Are there any questions for Director Harrison regarding her report? Hearing none. Thank you so much. We'll now hear from the Chair of the Performance Measures and Strategic Planning Subcommittee, Alex Stelly.
Good afternoon. Just a brief thank yous. First, I want to thank Lowell Brown. If you guys haven't worked with Lowell, he's a rock star. We were very lucky to have Lowell. I couldn't have done this without him. He has taken care of me. He has made sure that I have my talking points. He makes sure that I'm on the call. Lowell, thank you very much for all your hard work. As it's been said many times, thank you to Jennifer and Tammy. They are the ones who Santos is talking about when they call me at 9 o'clock for my 9 o'clock call to remind me that I need to get onto the Zoom so that I can conduct the meetings. Thank you, ladies, for all that you do and all the help that you've given me. Next, I'd like to thank our committee. Our committee has worked very hard. I'd like them to stand as I announce each of their names. Luis Cavazos, Steve Chiscano, David Courageous, Chrissy Castle, Chris Pineda, and Chris Popoff. For all of those, thank you very much for all your help. This is a process. It takes some time. It just takes time to go through these documents, and I really appreciate their time and effort. And to David, he was a great leader of this committee before, so I appreciate the hard work that you did before I had to take over. Because my good friend Paul appointed me to this committee. My good friend. The State Bar Act requires that the bar develop a long-range plan that includes measurable goals and performance measures. The statute also requires the bar to review and update the plan on a regular schedule. In compliance with these requirements, in January of 2025, the board approved updates to the bar's strategic plan goals. Our next task was to review and update the performance measures that correspond with these goals. You might recall we moved from about 5 or 6 goals to 3 so that we could really try to focus and make sure that everything that we do as a board is part of this strategic plan, and this isn't just some document that we go through on a regular schedule. The Performance Measure and Strategic Planning Subcommittee met on April 17th, May 28th, and June 2nd to review and update the performance measures. Like with the goals, we wanted to make sure that these measures were something that really looked at the goals and were something that we could really look at and decide were measurables and not just something that we asked the staff to look at. So we downsized and reduced several of those performance measures to make sure they corresponded to our goals. On June 2nd, the subcommittee voted to approve the performance measures documents that is included in your meeting materials. Today, the board is asked to formally adopt the new performance measures. Many of the past performance measures were carried over with this new document,
but we worked hard to ensure that all performance measures were measurable, meaningful, and useful to the board as the bar's governing body. I want to thank the subcommittee members, as I've already done. And so we would ask that on behalf of the subcommittee, I move that the board approve the updated performance measures based on the 2025-2030 State Bar of Texas Strategic Plan.
Director Stelly has moved that the board approve the updated performance measures for the 2025-2030 strategic plan. Coming from a committee, it does not require a second. All in favor signify by, or any comments? All in favor signify by aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Any questions for Director Stelly? I've actually never watched sausage being made, but I feel as if I have. When you're going through a strategic plan and you're going through performance measures, line by line, idea by idea, concept by concept, it is a bit of a process. Thanks to the committee and thanks to Director Stelly thanks to my former friend, Director Stelly, for all of your hard work on that. At this time, we will hear from Director Lawrence Morales, Chair of the Client Security Fund Subcommittee. Director Morales.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Client Security Fund met on July 11th via Zoom to discuss all pending Christopher Pettit matters. As you may recall, Mr. Pettit was sentenced in federal court here in San Antonio to 50 years in prison for fraud and money laundering. The subcommittee reviewed a summary provided by staff regarding their meeting with attorney Casey Burns, who served as outside counsel for the subcommittee on our Christopher Pettit matters. The Client Security Fund reviewed 49 total cases related to Mr. Pettit. 14 cases were approved for a total of $652,675.15. These disbursements will be applied to the fiscal year 2025-2026. For the 2024-2025 bar year, the subcommittee has reviewed 185 cases, approved 103 for a total of $654,351.01. As a point of personal privilege, I'd like to thank Claire and Jean. Reviewing these applications is a significant undertaking, and their hard work makes it easy for the subcommittee to do their work. Thank you. That is the end of my report.
Thank you, Director Morales. Any questions for Director Morales? Hearing none. Now we'll hear from Director Brandy Wingate Voss, Chair of the New Directors Orientation Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had our new directors orientation meeting this morning for our new board members, our liaisons, and section representatives. We had a special speech from Justice Deborah Lehrman welcoming all of our new directors, and we have 18 new board members. They will be sworn in tomorrow morning during the board meeting, so they will be present tonight at the dinner, so make sure that you welcome them and introduce yourself. I'd also like to thank the new Directors Orientation Committee, Director Charbonnet, Gomez, Castle, Kugler, Nguyen, and Quadros. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your service on the new director orientation. Any questions for Director Brandy Wingate Voss? And welcome to our new directors. Up next, Chair of the Insurance Member Benefits Subcommittee, Director Radha Thiagarajan. It only took me a year to be able to pronounce it correctly, but I got it. I think I nailed it. Oh, come on.
That's a good try. Good try.
Oh, thanks.
I'm here to bring the Insurance Member Benefits Subcommittee general report. I have a few brief updates. First, with respect to insurance member benefits, the State Bar's exclusive health insurance exchange, the Texas Bar Private Insurance Exchange, continues to grow and support Texas attorneys. Currently, the exchange works with 488 Texas law firms and 11,421 solo practitioners. This fiscal year, counselors at the exchange handled 955 appointments for individuals, and 420 appointments for law firms. Every other year, we conduct a customer satisfaction survey to measure satisfaction with the enrollment process and the program as a whole. Satisfaction continues to exceed contractual expectations. To receive more data on satisfaction, we've instructed the exchange to measure customer satisfaction levels following all purchases and staff interactions with our members. And moving on to non-insurance member benefits, with respect to the trust accounting and billing software, 1 year ago in 2024, June, the State Bar launched Smokeball Bill as a free benefit to all members. Smokeball Bill is a cloud-based law firm billing and trust accounting product that is designed to include everything lawyers need to bill their clients and to get paid and to balance their books compliantly. And as of our latest statistics, June 9, 2025, we had 1,229 firms that have signed up for Smokeball Bill and 1,379 total users, and member feedback continues to be positive. I do want to take a few minutes. This is my last meeting. I'm a rolling off third-year director. I want to thank everybody else, all the other directors that I serve with. Personally, I'd love to thank both Tammy and Jen and Lowell and Hetty, who always make us look good. They make our job easy. And I want to thank all the executives that I worked with and also appreciate finally Trey and Paul getting my name right. So it is Thiagarajan, but I think you guys muddled it. You figured it out, and I appreciate everybody so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Thiagarajan. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Director Aaron Tobin, Chair of the Professional Development Subcommittee, will provide a report. Director Tobin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too would like to just take a brief moment and give some thanks. At our law firm, we do not use and we refuse to use the word staff. We use the term support team. And Hetty Bauer, you have been an incredible team member and support in the Professional Development Subcommittee. You not only support us, you lead us in all things CLE, and we're so thankful for your service. The Board Professional Development Subcommittee met jointly with the CLE Committee on April 29 to discuss new topics for CLE programs and publications and to be briefed on finances and operations. Our next meeting will be in the fall of 2025. This is something I'm really excited about. So Texas Bar CLE is working on a new CLE initiative. It's already in the works, and it's designed to help newer attorneys develop core competencies in specific practice areas. We've already had recent programming on becoming an appellate lawyer, and next year we will offer becoming a fiduciary duty lawyer, as well as a one-day course on trial fundamentals. Each course features experienced faculty, focused instruction, and interactive components such as breakouts, discussions, and workshops, offering a structured and supportive environment for professional growth. Texas Bar CLE's busy season is underway right now, and we have the launch of our summer advanced courses, as many of you know, to include estate planning and probate, real estate, personal injury, criminal law, and family law. Registration is now open, and we expect strong attendance as participation typically rises in the summer following a legislative session that we just went through. The Law Practice Management Program and the Texas Bar College tonight will be hosting a reception at 5:30 in, mark this down, 5:30 in Grand Oaks Q. Everyone is encouraged to stop by, meet members of the LPM Committee and the Texas Bar College Board, and find out more about the Bar's Law Practice Management Program and the Texas Bar College. Oh, I had this evening. Is it tomorrow? It may be tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, Hetty? all right, tomorrow, my fault, my apologies. The State Bar is committed to providing quality CLE to lawyers at all stages of their practice and from all income brackets. Currently, there are 2.25 hours of free online classes at texasbarcle.com. We also offer full and partial scholarships for seminars, webcasts, and online classes. Scholarships are also available for downloadable and online publications through Texas Bar Books. The process is fast, easy, and confidential. And Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Tobin. Any questions for Director Tobin? Next up is Judge Jerry Bullard on behalf of the section representatives of the board. Did I mention Judge Jerry Bullard?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that introduction. It's always a pleasure to be able to give a report on our sections. And I'll say a couple things at the end. It's a point of personal privilege to continue that trend, but I'll go ahead and hit the highlights of this report first. As you know, the business law section and intellectual property section updated some bylaws, and they were submitted, and this board voted on those approved bylaws as part of the consent agenda, and the litigation section submitted a dues increase request that was also part of that consent agenda. Let's talk about some section membership stats. The section membership this year peaked at 90,057 members. That's up from just over 2,100 members since our last board meeting. If you want to know which sections experienced the greatest growth in terms of percentage, well, the Justice Court section, the Hispanic Lawyers section, and Civil Liberties and Civil Rights section led the way in terms of percentage increase. In terms of actual numbers of new members, the Women in the Law section, the Criminal Justice section, and the Hispanic Lawyers section led the way in terms of new members. The Real Estate, Probate, and Trust Law section continues to set the standard as being our largest section with 9,870 total members. Closely followed behind that section is the Litigation section with 9,097 and the Family Law section with 5,841 members. In terms of section highlights, Executive Director Apfeld talked a little bit about what's in your board materials in terms of what our sections have been doing this year. I encourage you to read those because they've been extremely busy, whether they're large, medium, or small. We have 47 sections. It's kind of like asking me to tell you which child is my favorite if I was going to pick one to talk about, so I'll commend that reading to you, but I do want to highlight a few activities of some of our sections. This year, the Administrative and Public Law section launched a student outreach effort and visited law schools throughout the state, educating students about administrative law and inviting them to join the section. The 2025 summer luncheon will be held for student members and state agency summer clerks and interns later this summer. The Computer and Technology section continues to provide its members with free access to the Computer and Technology section mobile app, which highlights frequently updated Texas statutes, and the section journal Circuits, which is updated with the new look and feel. The Corporate Counsel section achieved a special milestone this year when it surpassed $1 million in pro bono grants since 1997. This year, the section awarded $59,000 to Texas organizations offering pro bono legal services. This remarkable milestone was only possible with the generous support of the section's champions of pro bono sponsors. The Family Law section's legacy of legal education continues with more outstanding CLE, including the celebration of the Advanced Family Law's 50th year and updates to publications like the Family Law Practice Manual, Fingertip Series, Predicates Manual, and the section's famous Toolkit. The Oil and Gas and Energy Resources Law section hosted their inaugural Leadership Academy for up-and-coming energy attorneys that focused on practice development, mentorship, and involvement in section activities. The Women in the Law section continued its tradition of hosting monthly one-hour lunch and learn webinars, collaborating with several sections to cover a plethora of interesting and relevant CLE topics. The section also hosted several live CLE events, including its third annual International Women's Day CLE, held simultaneously in 13 different cities, and the first ever brand new, sold out, despite the weather, first annual law symposium and attorney wellness retreat. Now, those are just a few of the highlights of what our sections have been doing. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Once again, we're talking about State Bar staff, but the section department, Lindsay Jackson has done a fabulous job of helping herd cats, keeping the section representatives to the board committee up to speed on what the sections have been doing. Of course, Tracy Knuckles, who was the sections director when I started in this role, her support leading up to this point and also continuing throughout my term as section representative has just been invaluable, and I would want to congratulate her on her retirement, but also miss her terribly in helping continue to do the work of what the sections do. And I would like to also acknowledge my fellow committee members. Director Culpepper and I kind of mentioned earlier, I said we missed a great opportunity. We're both parents of theater kids. We could have done some pretty awesome section updates, but I don't know that y'all would have enjoyed it as much as we probably would have. I don't know, but that would have been a great opportunity. But I look forward to seeing what the other members of our committee are going to do as we move forward. Randy, Pierre, Laura, Tony, and our new section members, Judge Davis and Richard Crow, are going to do moving forward. We know we're really going to do a fabulous job and continue to provide visibility for the sections to the board and the representation that we provide, that we can provide to the board and whatever our needs may be. So thank you all for your support. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Judge Bullard. Any questions? At this time, we'll take a break until 3 p.m. We now stand on break. we're now ending our break. We'll now hear from TYLA President Hisham Masri.
Thank you, Chair Stafford, and good afternoon, everyone. I should have said howdy. I don't know why I even bothered with that, but it's certainly bittersweet standing here and giving my last report as president of the Texas Young Lawyers Association. We've had a great year. Now, you might notice that my presentation has a bit of a golf theme. That's intentional. First, it leans into my theme of games for the last year. And second, I'm really excited to be entering my retirement phase, AKA my golf era, as the immediate past president. And I did hear that there was at least one golf game at Lock and Terra yesterday that I wasn't invited to. So I think that just means we have to go again. So really no one knows this better than the incoming president of the Texas Young Lawyers Association, Allison Martinez. She's often said that I've been in this phase for like the last 4 months, which isn't too far from the truth. Now, I'll also say that y'all will be, I would say that normally you'd be in good hands, but we all know you're receiving a large upgrade in the quality with Allison. So I'm really excited for everything you have planned for this upcoming year. So as the public service arm of the State Bar of Texas, TYLA's Board of Directors has expended thousands of volunteer hours supporting the mission of the State Bar and our newly licensed lawyers through our projects and programs that improve the quality of the legal advice and the functioning of the legal system. So for my final report, I'll briefly cover my travels for the past quarter and then transition to a brief overview of our TYLA projects from each of our committees that they've completed this year. For our travel plans, the first is our TYLA quarterly board meeting, which was held in Irving, which is where the world headquarters for the company I work for, Flowserve Corporation, is located. It was also a nice in-between. Y'all have heard me say before that part of my story is I grew up in DFW, was born in Dallas, raised in Plano. I still live there today with my family. My practice was first in Dallas, and I went to law school in Fort Worth, and really every major life decision has left me in DFW. So it was nice to be in Irving, which is kind of a central in my compromise, so I didn't have to pick either Dallas or Fort Worth. But we had a great time there with our board meetings. We celebrated a successful year and had really a fantastic end of the year celebration. So next, we went to the Fifth Circuit Conference. Our meeting ended on Sunday, and then I headed down to Sandestin, Florida, with many of our colleagues up here, and enjoyed the resort and meeting with a lot of our Fifth Circuit judges and justices around the country. It was an incredible presentation, an incredible conference. Pictured there in the top are several of our past TYLA leadership and several of the directors on this board, including Director Stelly, our incoming Director Bill Matea. I'm trying to see if other folks are in that picture, but a lot of folks who have really certainly been through on this board. Next, I'm going to cover kind of what the board has accomplished in 2025. I'm going to do this by our committees that TYLA is organized by. First is our Public Services Committee. Our Public Service Committee updated our Justice for All project with an interview with Richard Miles and Professor Watley. So that's expanding the resources available for lawyers representing the wrongfully convicted. They further created a mental health scenarios guide and a sports law guide for amateur athletes, really for lawyers representing those athletes and how to do that representation effectively. Next, our Access to Justice Committee updated, consolidated, and translated our disaster relief guides into 5 additional languages. They also created a pro bono immigration guide that helps attorneys know how to take pro bono immigration cases with help of directors on this board, and we appreciate their contributions. Our Competitions Committee celebrated our 50th anniversary of the National Trial Competition, which happened at the beginning of April, and currently happening in conjunction with the annual meeting is our 50th anniversary for the State Moot Court Competition. A special and thank you to Judge McClure for volunteering to judge the final round of our State Moot Court Competition tomorrow morning. Our Member Services Committee reached out to all of our local affiliates. They hosted our Bar Leaders Conference that's coming up here in July and helped organize this upcoming one as well. Our Law Development Committee created our Texas Law Student Hub. They also help coordinate events at all of our Texas law schools. And finally, our Programming Committee created a board game for law-related education, successfully ran our ethics trivia, and helped create numerous podcasts through the year, including our incredible interview series with the Texas Supreme Court. And thank you to our justices as well. With that, that only really briefly touches on some of our major accomplishments of TYLA this year. And none of these projects would have been possible without the support and help of numerous folks in this room. I am particularly grateful for Director Laura Pratt for being a mentor and friend to me. She was always there to show me how to lead, and I'm grateful for everything that you've done. And in my presentation at the beginning of this board year, I shared that I was terrified that I would make a mistake or disappoint you. Yet, faced with it, you all made me brave, and I think we accomplished so much good together for the state of Texas. And so as my term ends and we look forward to the next year, I have no doubt that Director Martinez will do us proud, and I humbly ask for your ongoing and continuing support for the TYLA board, our newest bar leaders, and for our TYLA members who are the future of the legal profession in this very great state. So unless anyone has any other questions, that concludes my report, and thank you.
Thank you, Hisham, and we appreciate your service to TYLA and to the State Bar of Texas. Any questions or comments from directors regarding TYLA President Hisham Masri's report? Hearing none, we'll now move on to liaison reports. Senior Justice Deborah Learman will now give a report regarding the Texas Supreme Court.
Thank you so much, Chair Stafford, President Benish, esteemed members of the board. I thank you all on behalf of the court for everything that you do. It's so very, very important. And we know that you volunteer your time for this very, very important work, and we really do appreciate it very much. I also want to thank the staff, support team. I learned quickly. The support team of the State Bar of Texas. Remember, he said we can't use the word staff anymore, so it's support team. But all kidding aside, as everyone has said, I mean, there just couldn't be a better staff than our State Bar staff. So I sincerely appreciate everything that you all do, the tireless hours that you put in, and you all know who I'm talking about. So thank you very, very much. So let me get on. We've had a lot of changes, as I'm sure you all have heard, on our court. Chief Justice Nathan Heck stepped down after many, many, many years of service to the court and service as our Chief Justice, and the governor appointed Chief Justice new Jimmy Blacklock, and he's doing a wonderful job since the beginning of the year. We also have a new justice who has taken his place, and that is James Sullivan. So those of you who do not know him, I encourage you to try to get to know him. And unfortunately, one of our wonderful colleagues, Jeff Boyd, is going to be stepping down at the end of the summer. And so that will leave a void that's going to be a large one. Those will be really big shoes to fill. I know that my colleague, Evan Young, who is the deputy liaison here, and I forgot to mention, excuse me, I want to thank Justice Young for his wonderful work as well. But he will tell you, as I will, that Justice Boyd does such a wonderful job on our court, and it will be a huge loss to the citizens of this state, but we'll get by. Okay, so just a few things. Every session, the legislature passes bills that require changes to the court's rules, and I'm just going to mention a few of those right now. One of them is House Bill 40, which is the business court bill. It makes a number of changes to the enabling statutes, which will require updates to our rules, including rules regarding writs, pleading rules removal, and so we'll be working on that all summer long. The bill also includes 2 directives. It directs the court to adopt rules for the, quote, prompt, efficient, and final determination of business court jurisdiction on the filing of an action in that court. And it also directs us to adopt rules allowing pre-September 1st, 2024 cases to be transferred to and heard by the business court. We also have Senate Bill 9, the bail bill, and like the business court, it also includes an express directive to us to make bail appeal rules by October 1st of this coming fall. Senate Bill 293 provides for a 25% raise for Texas judges. That was an important thing, and Justice Blacklock had a lot to do with that. And I don't mean that it's important for all of us as judges, although that didn't hurt either. But it's so important for our state that we have a strong judiciary. And we were second to the lowest in the entire country as far as the amount that our judges were paid. Justice Black, that almost died at the very end of the session, and Chief Justice Blacklock was over at the legislature in the governor's office doing what he needed to do, I mean 24/7 at the very end. And so it really is largely because of him. And so we all really are very grateful for his having done that. Just a few other things. I wanted to talk about the paraprofessionals, as we have talked about quite a bit. And we had a lot going on under our Access to Justice initiative. That whole thing has been put on hold. The legislature got involved, and there were several bills that were filed, but those bills didn't go anywhere. And so right now it's on hold. I believe that there probably will be that we're going to reassess what's going to happen with that, and that may come up again, but it's on hold for now. With regard to non-lawyer ownership, however, that has been put on hold, and I believe that well, there's no plans at this time for that to be resurrected, I'll say that. We did send 2 projects to the Supreme Court Advisory Committee. One has to do with restructuring of our petition process, and the other has to do with elimination of the central docket that you all have in Austin and in San Antonio. So if you all are interested in either of those 2 things, I urge you to contact any of us or the court or the people on SCAC, because they are working on that. And those are 2 important things, especially for appellate practitioners and especially for attorneys that litigate in San Antonio and Austin. And I just want to end, as I always do, by thanking all of you in this room, the lawyers, the foot soldiers of the rule of law. It is so important. What you do is important, and it's never been more important than it is right now, at least in my view. Let me quote, "The rule of law is not a theoretical construct. It's the architecture that enables human dignity, equal justice, and freedom of fear." When you review economies around the world, and you look at the difference between the successful economies and the unsuccessful economies, you will see that the primary difference is adherence to the rule of law. Because if you cannot depend on the rule of law, that contract is going to be enforced, or whatever it is, then you're not going to be able to go into the businesses that you would otherwise. And it's the people in this room that are the ones that see that rule of law is enforced, that stand behind it every single day. And because of you, I know we're all going to be okay. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Senior Justice Learman, and thank you, Justice Young, as well, for your service. We'll now hear from Judge McClure regarding the Court of Criminal Appeals update.
It's a good thing I get to follow Senior Justice Lehrman all the time, because then I know what to talk about. So We too have had changes on our court. I probably talked about them, no, I didn't talk about them at the last meeting because I wasn't here. Anyway, we have 3 new judges. We're still in the process of kind of figuring out, I think I said to a couple people, everyone's trying to figure out each other's love language, and so we're still working on that. If you read some of our recent opinions, you might think it might take a while for us to learn each other's love language. We, as a court, not officially, but we will be here, the moot court final round tomorrow. Most, if not all of us, will be judging that. So if you ever wanted to live vicariously through criminal appellate advocates, you can come check us out at 1:30 tomorrow. We've been pretty busy, obviously, with our day jobs, but we've also gone on the road a couple times. In the fall, we went to Alpine. I talked about that at the January meeting. And then this spring, a few weeks ago, we were in Laredo. And those are great opportunities. I always joke that we're the court that nobody's ever heard of. And unfortunately, I had the opportunity to meet a person running for the Court of Appeals last year who didn't know about our court. But that person didn't win, so I guess they will continue in their ignorance as to who our court is and what we do. I actually have a presentation that I give, and the title of the presentation is, "Oh, so you're on the Court of Criminal Appeals, what kind of cases does your court handle?" And of course, the answer is criminal cases that are appealed, but apparently that's not obvious enough of a title. So we will be hopefully going to Dallas to hear a oral argument sometime in the fall, so stay tuned for that. And finally, as I always say when I get up here, feel free to come visit if you're in Austin. Give me a call, I'll take you on a tour, I'll show you our fancy chairs in the courtroom. And now I get to say, come for me, but stay for my research attorney, who just happens to be one of the new at-large directors. So thank you again for what you do. I love what Justice Lehrman said about the rule of law. The rule of law is like that saying I heard that we're all about 4 missed meals away from chaos. We're all, disregarding the rule of law, disregarding our court system. It's one of those things that sounds great in theory until it actually happens. Many of you have heard the parable or the saying about Chesterton's fence, which is if you see a fence in the middle of the woods and you think we should knock this thing down, you probably should ask yourself why the fence is there in the first place before you chop it down. Same thing with, I think, our justice system. It's not perfect. There are certainly critiques. There are certainly good critiques about it, but if you think things aren't great now, just wait until we don't have one. So let's hopefully not go there. So again, I appreciate her remarks, and I echo them as well. And I'm happy to be here. Again, come see us in Austin. I'm probably not as lonely as I sound, but anyway, please come. Please, if you happen to be in Austin, come by, especially on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Thank you very much.
Are there any comments or questions for Judge Jesse McClure III? Hearing none. We'll now hear from Judge Bill Miller on the judicial section report.
All right, good afternoon. And as Justice Lehrman indicated, the judicial section's been dealing a lot with the legislature this session. We have continue the judicial section's efforts with regard to our member services. I know that's going to be a strong push under Judge Villarreal, who's going to take over as chair. One of the odd things about judicial section is our year is a little skewed because the judges will have their annual judicial meeting in September, and so I will actually stay on as chair until September when he will take over, instead of all of us switching out this week. The judicial section legislative committee, which was led by Judge Alfonso Charles, he has led that committee for a number of years. Obviously for the judges, the big bill was Senate Bill 293, which was judicial compensation. The Judicial Commission for Compensation back last year made a recommendation to the legislature that they adjust compensation by 30%. Because of inflation. That adjustment affects not only judges, it also affects county judges, it also affects prosecutors, it affects associate judges, so it affects the Supreme Court justices as well as the Court of Criminal Appeals justices. So it affects the judiciary as a whole in terms of compensation. And the legislature, as Justice Learman indicated at the last minute, and then they went a little bit further than the last minute, actually passed some legislation to make that happen. That legislation also changes the Judicial Conduct Commission, hopefully makes that a better commission, adds some additional requirements when you're going to file complaints against judges, sets statute of limitations. So the bill does a lot of good work. It is a judicial transparency bill. As you may or may not know, the courts over the last year and a half or 2 years have been working hard at putting statistics together through the Office of Court Administration so that each court in the state can be evaluated and we can show off all of the good work that the courts are doing. There was, Senate Bill 293 was one of the many bills that was passed, but there's also Senate Bill 664, Senate Joint Resolution 27, Senate Bill 2878, which is the omnibus bill, as well as Senate Bill 293. All of these were kind of packages going through the legislature that are going to affect the courts for years to come. And so we look forward to that legislation coming into effect. Certainly there's some constitutional amendments in there as well. Our section continues to work on member services in terms of what we're calling the judicial sidebar, which allows judges to communicate with each other over issues that come up. And I know Judge Virial is going to be putting together a judicial toolkit, because we all like toolkits that started with TYLA many, many years ago, probably before I was even TYLA president. And I told Sham a minute ago when he sat down and he's like, this was such a long year. I told him it never ends. You stay with the state bar forever. And so that is the conclusion of my report. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Judge Bill Miller? Comments? Okay. At this time, we'll hear from Federal Judge Liaison Judge Jeff Brown. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. You've heard mentioned a couple of times now the Fifth Circuit Conference was held last month, and this was Chief Judge Elrod's first as Chief Judge, and I would like to congratulate her on convincing the Mississippi Bar to host the Fifth Circuit Conference in Sandestin, Florida. Circuit Justice Alito came and spoke to us, and it was a great conference, as it almost always is. I have updated y'all before on judicial vacancies and how those are progressing. The Federal Judicial Evaluation Committee, which is the bipartisan committee appointed by, it's a committee of lawyers from 40 or 50 lawyers, it seems like, from around the state, appointed by Senators Cornyn and Cruz to do the initial vetting of folks who are being considered to fill district court vacancies and U.S. attorney vacancies around the state. We have vacancies right now in Houston. There are 3, McAllen there are 2, and I think it's 1 each in Austin, Waco, and Dallas. The committee met in April and in May to conduct interviews and then sent names on to Washington, recommendations for the senators to call folks up to D.C. to interview, and that's the stage we're at now. Those calls, from what I understand, those calls have been made, and the interviews will happen this summer. There may even be a person or two in this room who's going to be going to Washington for an interview. At one time, I had heard that the senators were hoping to have all these spots filled and confirmed by the end of the year. I really don't think that that's going to happen, but I hope they keep working at it. I have also, I guess it was in January, I told y'all about the demise of the Judges Act of 2024, which was a piece of legislation in Congress that would have created 65 new judgeships around the country, I think. And it's called the Judges Act, and if I didn't tell y'all before, Congress is so clever. Judges stands for Judicial Understaffing Delays Getting Emergencies Solved. That's so. Well, there is, and you'll remember it, bipartisan bill passed the Senate unanimously. The House didn't get around to it until after the election, and then President Biden had said he would veto it, and he did. And so that act died at the end of the year. There is a new one, the Judges Act of 2025. It also would create 65 new judgeships around the nation, including several in Texas. There have been no new district judgeships created since 2003. That is the longest stretch without new judgeships since the Judiciary Act was passed in 1789. Filings are up 30% since the last comprehensive judgeship legislation. That bill has been reported out of the House Judiciary Committee, but has not been brought up before the entire House yet. Another issue the federal courts have been facing, especially in the media, has been, we used to call them nationwide injunctions, now they call them universal injunctions. There are two ways in which folks are coming after those injunctions. One is in Congress. It's a bill called the No Rogue Rulings Act, and it limits the ability of single district judges to issue universal injunctions, especially with regard to executive orders. It's been reported favorably out of the House Rules Committee on a party line vote. It is expected to pass the House, but expected to get nowhere in the Senate because of the filibuster. The other way in which universal injunctions are expected to get addressed are in a case recently heard by the Supreme Court. Trump versus Casa Inc. was argued on May 15th. It concerns birthright citizenship, but it is thought that the real effect will be on the power of district courts to issue universal injunctions. So keep your eye on that. The last topic I want to cover with y'all, and Justice Lehrman and Judge McClure have already touched on this, and that's attacks on the judiciary. They take many forms, from threats to the physical safety of judges and their families to irresponsible rhetoric, that undercuts the authority and independence of the third branch. One effort to curb these attacks is a series of online forums called Speak Up for Justice. There have been 2 online events so far. The next one is next week, June 26th, and will feature former Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. And you can get more information about that and sign up to participate at speakupforjustice.law. And the last thing I'll say is thank you very much for the opportunity to serve as the federal courts liaison to this board. I've enjoyed my time. I've made new friends. But even more important, I have a newfound appreciation for what it takes to make the best state bar in the country work as well as it does. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Brown. Any questions or comments for Judge Brown? Thanks again. Our out-of-state lawyer liaison, Rob Abbey, will now provide his report.
Hi, everybody. Paul doesn't have trouble pronouncing my name, I've noticed, right? Anyways, I wanted to update everybody on a survey that the bar sends out every 2 years to out-of-state lawyers, and this is one of those years. And it's scheduled to be conducted in the fall. Our last survey was in 2023, and we released a report that year. That survey, it covers a couple of topics: demographics, geography, licensing, migration trends, and people's views on dues and benefits. And I looked at the survey results, and my favorite part of it was to sort of see from the comments what feedback we could get for this year's survey. And so I pulled a few of them to read to you. One comment was, "I am really impressed with the Texas Bar." Another one, "The State Bar of Texas has the best website and services of any bar of which I have been a member." Then there's, "I love Texas." That was a whole comment. "God bless Texas" was another one. This was my favorite. It just said "Texas forever." I think it was a Tim Riggins fan. And then on the other side, there was a comment, "This is a worthless survey." I hope this is the last survey you ever request. What is wrong with you? But in between those extremes, we got some great constructive feedback. There were a few comments about the right way, maybe a more sensitive way to ask questions about race and demographics. So we're going to take a look at that. There were some things about the way the survey worked that we're going to try to improve. And then there was a lot of feedback about needs of out-of-state lawyers, things like CLE accreditation, dues, representation, things that we could do to assist. So we're going to kind of lean in to some of those questions this year. This year, I think the main topics I want to cover are that, we're going to really try to understand why out-of-state lawyers maintain a Texas law license, and then also try to identify really what are the most value-driven services to out-of-state members, find out what they actually need, what they use, and if they're aware of some of our services. So for example, like the mental health benefit, they may not be aware of that. So we're going to try to drive awareness and see, what messages are getting out there. There are a lot of questions about, how can we make the CLE process a little more accessible for out-of-state lawyers? How can we improve reciprocity with other states to make it easier to meet that requirement in both states? A few comments asked for things like published guides for out-of-state lawyers that are returning to Texas or practicing in Texas for the first time in a long time, kind of a cheat sheet for people that don't live here. I think that's a great idea. And how to improve our representation, and also comparing their experience with their own state bar to the State Bar of Texas. So all of these things are on the agenda. There's a draft of the survey that was sent to me that I have not edited yet. I'm sorry, but it will be done for the next board meeting, and I'll have a draft to everybody then. The plan is for the survey to launch sometime after that board meeting in September, so likely in October or November. We'll have the survey live for, I think it usually goes live for about a month or 2 months, and then we'll write the report. The plan will be to present it hopefully at the January meeting, probably at the April meeting. We'll have a fuller report. And that's all I've got today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, Abby. Any questions, comments, concerns? Thank you. That'll take us to the Commission for Lawyer Discipline report from Judge Monica Gonzalez.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to report on some disciplinary statistics. These are preliminary figures for the fourth quarter, March 1st, 25 to May 31, 25. There were 100 complaints resolved through 93 sanctions. The sanctions imposed between March 1st and May 31st, 14 disbarments, 10 suspensions, 10 public reprimands, 29 private reprimands, and 20 grievance referral program. Fiscal year 24-25 year to date, total disciplinary actions through May 31st of 2025, 346 complaints were resolved through 261 sanctions. $229,083 in attorney's fees revenue was collected between June 1st of 24 and April 30th of 25. And lastly, I have a huge plea, whether you're rolling off or whether you're going to continue with the board. There are several vacancies that there's some urgency in getting these vacancies filled on these grievance committees. Right now, statewide, there are 18 attorney member vacancies and 23 public member vacancies. So what happens is with a huge number like this, sometimes you just can't get a quorum, and so that's problematic. The CDC has sent out some information to everyone. It has a nomination form, so it would be greatly appreciated if you could get that back to the CDC as soon as possible. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge Gonzalez. Any comments or questions from any of our directors? Now we'll have a report from our General Counsel, Ross Fisher.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I spoke to the new director's orientation this morning, talked about the general counsel's role and also a little bit about the personal financial statement obligation. So I want to follow up on that for those of you, I talked about this at our last meeting. There is a new rule from the Texas Ethics Commission that says if you leave your public office mid-year, you're going to have to file a personal financial statement the following calendar year for the portion of the period of time that you held a public office. So that's new. So for those of you that are voting members that are rolling off the board today, you'll be in this first class of people who have this ongoing filing obligation. So you'll leave, and then you'll have a personal financial statement due in 10 months. So put on your calendars right now, April 30th of next year. It will have to cover the period of time that you were in office. So what I would do, if I were you, is at the end of this month, whether it's your mutual funds or your stock portfolio or whatever it is, go save your June statement, right? Go ahead and save it so that you know what the account value is for the end of June. Put it in your PFS file, and then when, set a calendar reminder. The Ethics Commission will notify you. And if you have questions, even though you've left the board, let me know or Kaylin know, and we'll get you guidance on it. But go ahead and save that now, because it'll be easier when you're filling out your personal financial statement to look at your June statement and say, okay, this was the activity for the time period that I was in public service. That's it. I'm happy to answer questions about those. If you don't want to ask questions about your financial situation in front of everybody else, find me at dinner tonight and ask me then. I'm happy to help. Thanks.
And as a reminder, if you don't want to ask questions about your personal financial situation in front of a large group of strangers, you can ask it in front of a smaller group of strangers tonight at dinner. Any questions or comments from General Counsel Ross Fisher? Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it. Hey, next up is our Chief Legal Counsel, Chris Ritter.
Thank you, Chair Stafford. I wanted to briefly give a report before we begin our closed session. And each year, it's a rare opportunity, and I feel like beginning this with a personal note. In 2019, many of you knew that I lost my wife to breast cancer, and since that time, my life has been much different, and I've embraced so many that I work with as family, and I'm proud to work with this team that Trey has put together. But I'm particularly grateful to my legal team, and I just wanted to share some information about what's happened this year, because I think it's remarkable. But just to share some numbers with you, and then we'll go to closed session. But we've had 4,400-ish communication reviews to make sure that the bar and all of the departments and all of the sections and all of the parts of the bar's communications comply with the law in the Fifth Circuit. It's really important to our legal team and to the bar and all of our team that we do everything we can to preserve this important work of the State Bar and to stay between the lines on compliance with our mission, which is improving legal services, regulating lawyers, and assisting with the legal system or the courts themselves. Since the Boudreaux case came out in November of 2023, over 8,000, but just in the past year, 4,400. So there's more communications being reviewed, but I just want to brag, and I would love for Amanda Engel to stand up right now. She has probably reviewed 3/4 of those, and we've had 0 complaints about our process. And I want y'all to know that's dealing with many dozens of sections that are in a hurry and TYLA has many things, and I want to say thanks to those entities for cooperating and their patience, but we're averaging same-day turnaround on all of that. I just wanted to brag about that and thank Amanda Lowell Brown, who his team in the communications department helps us, Claire McDaniel, Rebecca Johnson, and all of our team who, when we have we've learned so much about the bar through this, but when we have things that come up, we get to discuss them with our executive team, and I'm just really proud of that, and I wanted to share that. And then also, thank you so much. And quickly, I know how speed matters. We've had over 500 Public Information Act requests that we responded to this year, about 300 contract reviews, countless HR, and Amy Turner, I know is here. HR has done such a fantastic job. I just wanted to take a minute to say thanks and to mention what we have done, and we've gotten a chance to make a lot of headway. With that, the rest of my update will be in closed session.
Thanks, Chris. At this time, 3:45 p.m., State Bar Board of Directors will now recess the open meeting and reconvene in closed session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, for the purpose of discussing the evaluation of the General Counsel and the evaluation, duties, and compensation of the Executive Director, and Texas Government Code Section 551.071 for the purpose of consulting with legal counsel regarding Turnbull versus Commission for Lawyer Discipline et al. In the U.S. Supreme Court, Turnbull versus Commission for Lawyer Discipline et al. In the Third Court of Appeals, Robbins versus State Bar of Texas et al. In the 14th Court of Appeals, Robbins versus Commission for Texas Lawyer Discipline et al. In the Harris County District Court. Legal matters related to 1415 Lavaca, legal matters related to the State Bar's information technology system security, and as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to deliberate regarding personnel matters. With the exception of board liaisons and section representatives, all other individuals, including non-essential staff and other guests, need to excuse themselves from the closed session. We will notify the public when we are 5 minutes out from returning to open session. We now go into closed session. Time is now 4:46. The open session of the Board of Directors meeting will now reconvene. During the closed session, only matters relating to the evaluation of the General Counsel and evaluation duties and compensation of the Executive Director in consultation with legal counsel regarding Turnbull versus Commission for Lawyer Discipline et al. In the U.S. Supreme Court, Turnbull versus Commission for Lawyer Discipline et al. In the Third Court of Appeals, Robbins versus State Bar of Texas et al. In the 14th Court of Appeals, Robbins versus Commission for Lawyer Discipline et al. In Harris County District Court, legal matters relating to 1415 Lavaca, legal matters relating to the State Bar's information technology system security, and as authorized by Texas Government Code Section 551.074 to deliberate regarding personnel matters. At this time, I recognize President Steve Benish.
Thank you, Chair Stafford. On behalf of the Evaluation Subcommittee, I make a motion for approval of the recommendation for Executive Director Trey Apfel to receive a 7% pay increase effective June 1, 2025.
It's been moved by President Benish that the recommendation is for a 7% salary increase for Executive Director Trey Apfel. The motion requires a second. Is there a second? A second from Director Cantu. Is there any discussion regarding the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the recommendation of the motion signify by aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. I think we've got the photo, and I was given hand instructions, and so the photos to the right, that'd be your left, after this meeting adjourns. And that's for the 24-25 board and the 25-26 board. However, the dinner is to my left, which is your right, and that's at 6:30 p.m. Central. And so we have enjoyed this board meeting. Thank you for your cooperation and participation. And at this time, we would entertain a motion and a second to adjourn. Motion by Director Charbonnet, second by Director Cantu. We stand adjourned at 4:49.